Lisa had been working as a nurse for 8 years, but she had never seen a night like this one. The emergency room was packed with people, and everyone seemed to need help at the same time. She was running from one patient to another, her feet hurting in her white shoes, when she heard the sound of an ambulance outside. Another one coming in, shouted Dr. Williams from across the room. Lisa quickly washed her hands and got ready. She had no idea that this next patient would change her life forever. The doors burst open, and the paramedics rushed in with a man on a stretcher. He was unconscious, his clothes torn and dirty. Lisa could see he had been in some kind of accident. His motorcycle helmet was cracked, sitting on the stretcher beside him like a broken promise. Male, about 35 years old, motorcycle accident on Highway 12, the paramedic said quickly. He's been out for about 20 minutes. Pulse is steady but weak. Lisa moved quickly to help transfer him to the hospital bed. As they lifted him, she caught a glimpse of his face. Even with cuts and bruises, there was something peaceful about him, something that made her heart skip a beat, though she couldn't understand why. "What's his name?" she asked, checking his pulse. "Tom Anderson. We found his wallet at the scene." Tom. The name seemed to fit him somehow. Lisa had seen hundreds of accident victims, but something about Tom was different. Maybe it was the way his hand fell gently to his side, or the small smile that seemed to linger on his lips even while he was unconscious. For the next 3 hours, Lisa worked alongside the doctors to stabilize Tom. She cleaned his wounds, monitored his vital signs, and stayed close by his bedside every few minutes. She found herself looking at his face, wondering what his story was. What had he been doing on that highway? Did he have family waiting for him somewhere? "You can take a break, Lisa," Dr. Williams said around midnight. "He's stable now. We'll keep him overnight for observation." But Lisa didn't want to leave. She told herself it was just because she was being professional, making sure her patient was okay. But deep down, she knew it was something more. Tom didn't wake up that night or the next day. Lisa checked on him every chance she got. She learned from his medical records that he was an architect, 36 years old, and had recently moved to town. No emergency contacts were listed, which made Lisa feel sad for him. On the third day, Lisa was adjusting Tom's pillow when she noticed his eyes flutter open. She had seen patients wake up hundreds of times, but this felt different. Tom's eyes were deep brown, like coffee, and when they met hers, she felt something electric pass between them. "Where am I?" Tom asked, his voice rough from not speaking for days. "You're in the hospital," Lisa said gently. "You were in an accident. Do you remember anything?" Tom tried to sit up, then winced and lay back down. "I remember riding my bike. There was a truck, and then nothing." "You're safe now," Lisa said, and she meant it. For some reason, she wanted to protect this man, to make sure nothing bad happened to him ever again. "What's your name?" Tom asked, looking directly at her. "Lisa. Lisa Chen. I'm your nurse, Lisa," he repeated, and the way he said her name made her stomach flutter. "Thank you for taking care of me." Over the next few days, as Tom recovered, Lisa found herself spending more time in his room than she needed to. She would bring him extra pillows, make sure his meals were warm, and stay to chat when she was supposed to be checking on other patients. Tom was easy to talk to. He told her about his work designing buildings, about how he loved creating spaces where people could feel happy and safe. He talked about his dreams of traveling the world, seeing famous buildings, and learning from different cultures. Lisa shared her own stories too. She told him about why she became a nurse, how she loved helping people feel better. She talked about her small apartment with too many plants, and how she dreamed of having a garden someday. "You have kind eyes," Tom said one afternoon as Lisa was checking his bandages. "I bet you're good at making people feel better." Lisa blushed. "I just do my job." "No, it's more than that. You have this way of making everything seem okay, even when it's not." The compliment made Lisa's heart race. She had never felt this way about a patient before. Actually, she had never felt this way about anyone before. It scared her and excited her at the same time. As Tom got stronger, Lisa knew he would be discharged soon. The thought of not seeing him every day made her feel empty inside. She told herself she was being silly, that she barely knew him. But her heart didn't listen to her logical mind. On Tom's last day in the hospital, he asked Lisa to sit with him for a few minutes. "I want to thank you," he said. "Not just for being my nurse, but for being you. You made this whole experience bearable. I'm glad I could help," Lisa said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I know this might sound strange," Tom said, looking nervous for the first time since she'd met him. "But I was wondering if maybe, would you like to have coffee sometime? I mean, when you're not working." Lisa's heart jumped. She knew she should say no. Dating patients, even former patients, was complicated. But when she looked into Tom's eyes, she couldn't think of any reason that mattered more than the way he made her feel. "I'd like that," she said softly. Tom smiled, and it was like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Really? Really?" As Tom gathered his things to leave, Lisa felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she knew her life had just taken a turn towards something new and unknown, something that felt like it might be wonderful. She had no idea that this man, who had come into her life so unexpectedly, was carrying secrets that would soon turn her world upside down. All she knew was that for the first time in years, she felt truly alive. 3 months had passed since Tom left the hospital, and Lisa couldn't stop thinking about him. They had exchanged phone numbers, but both seemed nervous to make the first call. Lisa would pick up her phone dozens of times each day, typing messages she never sent. She wondered if Tom was doing the same thing. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Lisa decided to treat herself to coffee at the small cafe near the hospital. She had been working double shifts all week and needed a break. The place was cozy, with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh bread filling the air. She was waiting in line when she heard someone say her name. Her heart nearly stopped when she turned around and saw Tom standing behind her, holding an umbrella and smiling that same gentle smile she remembered from the hospital. "Lisa, I can't believe it's you," Tom said, his eyes lighting up. "What are the chances, Tom?" Lisa felt her cheeks turn red. "I was just thinking about you." The words slipped out before she could stop them, and she immediately felt embarrassed. "Really?" Tom's smile grew wider. "I think about you too. Actually, I think about you a lot." They ordered their coffee and found a small table by the window. What started as a quick hello turned into something much more. They talked about everything and nothing, like old friends who hadn't seen each other in years. Tom told Lisa about his new apartment, how he had bought too many plants because he thought it would make the place feel more like home. Lisa laughed and told him about her own plant collection, how she talked to them every morning like they were her pets. "You know what's funny?" Tom said, stirring his coffee. "I've lived in this town for 6 months, but I haven't really made any friends. People seem so busy here, always rushing somewhere." "I know what you mean," Lisa said. "I've been here for 3 years, and most of my friends are from work. It's hard to meet people when you're working all the time." As they talked, Lisa noticed how Tom's eyes crinkled when he laughed, and how he really listened when she spoke. Most people seemed to be waiting for their turn to talk, but Tom was different. He asked questions and remembered details from their conversations in the hospital. "Can I tell you something?" Tom said after they had been talking for an hour. His voice became more serious. "Of course." Tom looked out the window at the rain, then back at Lisa. "I haven't felt this comfortable with anyone in a long time. Actually, I don't think I've ever felt this comfortable with anyone." Lisa's heart started beating faster. "What do you mean?" "I was married before I moved here," Tom said quietly. "For 5 years, I thought we were happy, but I was wrong. She was seeing someone else, someone from her work. I found out about it 6 months before my accident." Lisa reached across the table and touched Tom's hand. "I'm so sorry. That must have been terrible." "It was," Tom said, not pulling his hand away. "But you know what the worst part was? I wasn't even that surprised. We had been living like strangers for so long. I kept telling myself it was normal, that all married couples go through rough patches. Did you try to work it out? We tried counseling for a few weeks, but her heart wasn't in it. She said she had fallen in love with this other guy and that she couldn't pretend anymore. The divorce was finalized right before I moved here. Lisa felt sad for Tom, but also relieved that he trusted her enough to share something so personal. Is that why you moved here? To start over? Partly, but also because I got a job designing a new community center downtown. I thought a change of scenery might help me figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be someone's husband. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the rain streak down the window. Lisa wanted to tell Tom about her own past, about the pain she had been carrying for years. I have something to tell you too, Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. I was engaged once. His name was David, and he was everything I thought I wanted in a person, kind, funny, ambitious. Tom squeezed her hand gently, encouraging her to continue. We were planning our wedding for the following spring. I had already bought my dress, and we had booked the venue. But one night, David was driving home from work in the rain. Just like today, a drunk driver ran a red light and hit him, Lisa. I'm so sorry, Tom said, his voice full of genuine sympathy. He died instantly. The doctors said he didn't suffer, but I still wake up sometimes wondering if he was scared in those last moments. Lisa wiped away a tear she hadn't realized was falling. How long ago was this? 5 years. For the longest time, I blamed myself. I should have picked him up from work that night. I should have made him stay late. I should have done something different. You know that's not your fault, right? Tom said firmly. Some things just happen, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop them. I know that in my head, Lisa said. But my heart took a long time to catch up. I stopped dating completely. I threw myself into work, into helping other people, because it was easier than dealing with my own feelings. Tom moved his chair closer to Lisa's side of the table. And now I'm scared, Lisa admitted. I'm scared to care about someone again. I'm scared that if I let myself feel something terrible will happen. I understand, Tom said. After my divorce, I thought I was done with love. I thought I was broken somehow, that I wouldn't know how to trust someone again. But then I met you, and you made me remember that not everyone is going to hurt me. You made me want to try again. Lisa looked into Tom's eyes and saw something she hadn't seen in a long time. Hope, real, honest hope. I feel the same way, she said. When I'm with you, I don't feel scared. I feel alive. The rain had stopped, and the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds. Tom stood up and held out his hand to Lisa. Would you like to take a walk with me? He asked. Lisa took his hand, and they walked outside together. The air smelled fresh and clean, like new beginnings. As they stood under the cafe's awning, Tom turned to face Lisa. I need to tell you something else, he said. What? I think I'm falling in love with you. Lisa's heart stopped. She had been thinking the same thing, but had been too afraid to say it out loud. I think I fell in love with you the day I woke up in the hospital and saw your face, she whispered. Tom leaned down and kissed her softly, and Lisa felt like she was coming home after a long journey. In that moment, standing in the afternoon sunshine, both of them believed that they had found something real and lasting. Neither of them knew that Tom was carrying a secret that would soon shatter their perfect moment. All they knew was that for the first time in years, they both felt complete. Tom sat in the doctor's office, staring at the white walls and trying to make sense of what he had just heard. The words kept echoing in his head. Brain tumor. Aggressive. 18 months. Maybe 2 years with treatment. The room felt like it was spinning, and he gripped the arms of his chair to steady himself. Mr. Anderson, I know this is a lot to process, Dr. Martinez said gently, but we caught it early enough that treatment can help. We're talking about chemotherapy and possibly radiation therapy. Tom nodded, but he wasn't really listening anymore. All he could think about was Lisa. Sweet, caring Lisa who had already lost one person she loved. How could he tell her that he was going to leave her too? I need some time to think, Tom said. standing up slowly. Of course. But Tom, time is important. Here, we should start treatment as soon as possible. Tom walked out of the hospital in a daze. It was the same hospital where he had met Lisa, but now it felt like a completely different place. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt real anymore. He drove home and sat in his apartment, staring at his phone. Lisa had sent him a text message that morning. "Good morning, handsome. Can't wait to see you tonight." They had plans to cook dinner together and watch a movie. It was supposed to be a normal, happy evening. But how could he act normal when his whole world had just fallen apart? Tom made a decision that would change everything. He decided not to tell Lisa about his diagnosis, at least not yet. He told himself he was protecting her, giving her time to be happy before reality crashed down on both of them. The next few months became a careful dance of lies and love. Tom started chemotherapy twice a week, telling Lisa he was working on a big project for a client in the next city. He said he had to travel there regularly for meetings and site visits. "I hate that you have to travel so much," Lisa said one evening as they sat on his couch. "I miss you when you're gone." "I miss you too," Tom said, and he meant it, every minute. Away from her felt like a waste of precious time. The treatment was harder than Tom had expected. Some days he felt okay, but other days he was so tired he could barely get out of bed. He started having headaches and sometimes felt dizzy or confused. When Lisa noticed, he blamed it on work stress. "You're pushing yourself too hard," Lisa said, running her fingers through his hair. "Maybe you should take a break from this big project." "I can't," Tom said. "It's too important." In a way, he wasn't lying. Fighting for his life was the most important thing he had ever done. Lisa started to worry. Tom seemed different somehow. He was more distant, more tired. And sometimes he looked at her with such sadness that it made her heart ache. She began to wonder if something was wrong with their relationship. "Are you happy with me?" she asked one night as they lay in bed together. Tom turned to face her, his eyes full of love and pain. "You make me happier than I've ever been in my life," he said. "Please don't ever doubt that." But Lisa did doubt it. She noticed how Tom sometimes forgot things they had talked about, how he seemed to struggle with simple tasks that used to be easy for him. She noticed how he always seemed to be checking his phone, and how he sometimes disappeared for hours without explanation. The worst part was that Tom seemed to be pulling away from her emotionally. He used to talk about their future together, about places they would travel and things they would do. Now he seemed to focus only on the present moment, as if he was afraid to think about tomorrow. "I love you," he would say at random moments, looking at her with an intensity that almost scared her. "I love you so much." "I love you too," Lisa would reply. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was trying to tell her something else, something he couldn't put into words. One evening, Lisa found a pill bottle that had fallen out of Tom's jacket pocket. The label had been torn off, and she couldn't read what the medication was for. When she asked Tom about it, he said it was just vitamins. "You're taking vitamins that require a prescription?" Lisa asked, confused. "They're special vitamins," Tom said quickly. "The doctor said I was low on some nutrients because I've been so stressed." Lisa wanted to believe him, but something felt wrong. She had been a nurse for years, and she knew the difference between vitamins and real medication. The pills she had seen looked serious, like the kind of medication they gave to patients with serious conditions. Tom's behavior became more erratic as the weeks went by. Sometimes he would be full of energy and want to do everything at once. Other times he would be so tired he could barely stay awake during dinner. He started having trouble remembering things, and sometimes he would stop in the middle of a conversation, looking confused. "Maybe you should see a doctor," Lisa suggested. "You haven't been yourself lately." "I'm fine," Tom said, but his voice sounded hollow. "Just work stress." Lisa began to feel like she was losing him, but she didn't understand why. She wondered if he was having second thoughts about their relationship. Maybe he wasn't ready for something serious after his divorce. Maybe she was pushing too hard for a commitment he wasn't ready to make. The truth was much worse than anything Lisa could have imagined. Tom was dying, and every day that passed brought him closer to the end. He knew he should tell her, but he couldn't bear the thought of seeing the light go out of her eyes the way it had gone out of his. When he heard his diagnosis instead, he tried to love her as completely as possible for whatever time they had left. He memorized the sound of her laugh, the way she looked when she was concentrating, the feeling of her hand in his. He tried to give her enough love to last a lifetime. Knowing that his lifetime was almost over, Tom told himself he was being kind, that he was giving Lisa the gift of ignorance. But deep down, he knew he was being selfish. He was stealing her right to choose, her right to decide how she wanted to spend the remaining time. Together, every night, as Lisa slept peacefully beside him, Tom lay awake wondering what he had done. He had fallen in love with a woman who deserved so much better than the pain he was about to bring into her life. But he couldn't stop loving her, and he couldn't bring himself to let her go. The deception was eating him alive, but he was too scared and too in love to tell the truth. He had no idea that his secret was about to be revealed in the most devastating way possible, and that Lisa was about to discover that the man she loved had been living a lie for months. Lisa had been thinking about Tom all day. He had seemed especially tired lately, and she wanted to surprise him with his favorite Chinese food from the restaurant they had discovered on their third date. She used her key to let herself into his apartment, calling out his name as she entered. "Tom, I brought dinner," she called, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. The apartment was quiet, which was unusual. Tom's music was always playing when he was home. She walked toward the bedroom, still calling his name. "Tom, are you taking a nap? I got that sweet and sour chicken you love." That's when she heard it, a strange sound coming from the bathroom, like someone was in trouble. Lisa's nursing instincts kicked in immediately, and she rushed toward the sound. She found Tom on the bathroom floor, his body shaking uncontrollably. His eyes were rolled back, and foam was coming from his mouth. Lisa had seen seizures before, but seeing Tom like this made her heart stop. "Tom," she screamed, dropping to her knees beside him. She quickly moved anything dangerous away from his body and tilted his head to make sure he could breathe. Her hands were shaking as she called 911. 911. "What's your emergency? I need an ambulance right away. My boyfriend is having a seizure. He's been seizing for about 2 minutes now." Lisa stayed on the phone with the operator while she watched over Tom. The seizure seemed to last forever, but it was probably only a few minutes. When it finally stopped, Tom was unconscious and breathing heavily. The paramedics arrived quickly, and Lisa rode with them to the hospital. She held Tom's hand in the ambulance, whispering to him that everything was going to be okay, even though she was terrified that it wouldn't be at the hospital. Lisa paced the waiting room while the doctors examined Tom. She had called in sick to work, something she had never done before. Dr. Williams, who had treated Tom after his motorcycle accident, came out to talk to her. "Lisa, I need to ask you some questions about Tom's medical history," he said, sitting down beside her. "Of course. What do you need to know? Has he been having any other symptoms lately? Headaches, confusion, memory problems?" Lisa thought about the past few months. "Yes, actually. He's been really tired, and sometimes he seems confused. He forgets things we've talked about. I thought it was just work stress." Dr. Williams nodded and made notes. "Has he been taking any medications?" He said he was taking vitamins, but I found a pill bottle that looked like prescription medication. When I asked him about it, he said it was special vitamins. "Lisa, I need to tell you something." When the paramedics brought Tom in, they found several prescription bottles in his apartment. "These aren't vitamins. They're chemotherapy drugs." Lisa felt like the world had stopped spinning. "What are you talking about? Chemotherapy? That's for cancer patients. I need to run some tests to confirm. But based on what I'm seeing, Tom has been receiving treatment for a brain tumor, a serious one." Lisa couldn't process what she was hearing. "That's impossible. Tom would have told me. We tell each other everything." Dr. Williams looked at her with kind but sad eyes. "I'm sorry, Lisa. I know this is hard to hear, but the evidence is clear. Tom has been hiding his condition from you? Lisa sat in stunned silence. Everything started to make sense now. Tom's mysterious trips out of town, his exhaustion, his strange behavior, the way he sometimes looked at her like he was trying to memorize her face. How long has he known? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I'll need to contact his oncologist to get the full details. But based on the medications he's taking, I guess he's known for several months. Lisa felt sick. Months? He's known for months and didn't tell me? I'm going to be honest with you, Lisa. This is a very serious situation. The seizure he had today suggests that the tumor is affecting his brain function. This isn't something that can be hidden much longer. Lisa stood up abruptly. I need to see him. He's still unconscious, but you can sit with him. Lisa walked into Tom's room on shaking legs. He looked so small and vulnerable lying in the hospital bed, hooked up to machines that beeped and hummed. She sat down in the chair beside his bed and took his hand. How could you do this to me? She whispered. How could you lie to me for months? Hours passed before Tom finally woke up. When he opened his eyes and saw Lisa sitting there, he immediately knew that she knew. The look on her face told him everything. Lisa, he said weakly. Don't, she said, tears streaming down her face. Just don't. I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you've been lying to me for months. Explain how you've been pretending everything was fine while you were secretly dying. Tom tried to sit up, but he was too weak. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? Lisa's voice was getting louder. You call lying to me protecting me? You call making me fall in love with you while you were hiding the fact that you're dying. Protecting me? I didn't want to hurt you, Tom said, his voice breaking. I knew what it would do to you. You've already lost someone you loved. I couldn't bear to put you through that again. So you decided to lie to me instead. You decided to take away my choice. I wanted to give you the best of me while I still could. I wanted to love you completely without the shadow of death hanging over us. Lisa stood up and walked to the window. Human, what have you done? She said, speaking to the universe as much as to Tom. How could you make me fall this deeply in love with you, knowing you were going to leave me, because I couldn't stop loving you, Tom said, tears running down his face. I tried to stay away from you after I found out, but I couldn't. I love you too much. Lisa turned around to face him. How long do you have? Tom looked down at his hands. The doctor said maybe 6 months now. Maybe less. 6 months. Lisa repeated. 6 months, and you were going to keep lying to me. I don't know. I was scared. I was selfish. I wanted to love you and be loved by you for as long as possible. Lisa sat back down, her anger mixing with grief. I understand why you did it. I understand that you were trying to protect me. But Tom, you stole months from us, months when we could have been fighting this together, when we could have been making real choices about our time together. I know, Tom said. I know I was wrong. I'm sorry. Lisa took his hand again. I'm angry at you. I'm so angry I could scream. But I'm also terrified of losing you. I'm sorry, Tom said again. I'm so sorry for everything. They sat in silence for a long time, both of them crying. Lisa's mind was racing with questions and emotions. She felt betrayed, scared, angry, and heartbroken all at the same time. What happens now? She asked finally. I don't know, Tom said. I understand if you can't forgive me. I understand if you want to walk away. Lisa looked at the man she loved, the man who had lied to her for months, the man who was dying. She had a choice to make, and it was the hardest choice of her life. I can't walk away, she said. I love you too much. But Tom, no more lies, no more secrets. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it honestly. Tom squeezed her hand. No more lies. He promised. Neither of them knew what the future would bring, but they knew they would face it together. Lisa took a leave of absence from work the next week. She couldn't imagine trying to take care of other people when the person she loved most needed her. Tom came home from the hospital, but everything was different now. The secret was out, and they both had to learn how to live with the truth. The first few days were the hardest. Lisa would catch herself being angry at Tom for lying, then immediately feel guilty for being angry at someone who was dying. Tom felt the weight of his deception every time he looked at Lisa, knowing that he had stolen precious time from both of them. I keep thinking about all the things we could have done differently, Lisa said one morning as they sat drinking coffee together. All the conversations we could have had, all the plans we could have made. I know, Tom said. I think about that too. But we can't change what happened. We can only decide what to do now. Lisa had been thinking about that a lot. What did people do when they knew love had an expiration date? How did they make the most of whatever time they had left? I want to make a list, she said suddenly. A list of what? Things you want to do, places you want to go, experiences you want to have. We can't waste any more time. Tom smiled, and for the first time since his diagnosis, it was a real smile. I'd like that. They spent the afternoon making their list. Tom wanted to see the northern lights, something he had dreamed about since he was a child. Lisa wanted to visit the small town where her grandmother had been born. They both wanted to learn to dance, to take a cooking class, to see the ocean at sunrise. Some of these might be too ambitious, Tom said, looking at their list. I don't know how much energy I'll have as things get worse. Then we'll start with the most important ones, Lisa said, and we'll modify the others as we go. Their first trip was to Alaska to see the northern lights. Tom was still feeling relatively good, and the cold air seemed to energize him. They stayed in a small cabin outside of Fairbanks, and on their second night, the sky exploded in green and purple light. It's more beautiful than I imagined, Tom said, holding Lisa close as they watched the lights dance across the sky. It's magical, Lisa agreed. I'm glad we're seeing this together, Lisa. I need to tell you something, Tom said, not taking his eyes off the lights. These past few weeks, since you've known the truth, have been the happiest of my life. How? Can you say that? You're dying. Because I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not hiding from you. I get to love you completely, and I get to feel your love completely. There's no fear anymore. Just love. Lisa felt tears freezing on her cheeks. I love you so much it hurts. I know. I love you the same way. They traveled to Japan next, to see the cherry blossoms. Tom was getting weaker, but he insisted on walking through the parks in Tokyo, marveling at the pink and white flowers that covered the trees like snow. In Japanese culture, cherry blossoms represent the temporary nature of life, Lisa said, reading from a guidebook. They bloom for such a short time, but they're so beautiful that everyone stops to notice them. Like us, Tom said, our time is short, but it's beautiful. They took a cooking class in Italy, learning to make pasta from an elderly woman who spoke no English but communicated through gestures and smiles. Tom struggled with the simple tasks, his hands shaking from the medication, but he laughed at his mistakes and kept trying. I used to be good with my hands, he told Lisa. I could draw detailed architectural plans without a computer. You're still good with your hands, Lisa said, watching him clumsily shape the pasta. You just use them differently now. As the months passed, Tom's condition worsened. He had more seizures, more confusion, more days when he was too tired to get out of bed. But he also had moments of clarity and joy that were more intense than anything he had experienced before his diagnosis. I think I understand now why some people say that knowing you're dying is a gift, Tom said one evening as they sat on their balcony watching the sunset. It makes every moment more precious. I don't think of it as a gift, Lisa said. I think of it as unfair and terrible and cruel. But would you trade this time we've had together? Even knowing how it ends, Lisa thought about it. No, I wouldn't trade a single day. Tom started writing letters to Lisa, one for each important date in her future. A letter for her birthday, a letter for Christmas, a letter for the anniversary of the day they met. He wrote about his hopes for her future, his gratitude for their time together, and his love that would continue even after he was gone. I want you to know that loving you has been the greatest privilege of my life, he wrote in one letter. I want you to find love again someday, and I want you to be happy. Don't let my death convince you that love isn't worth the risk. Lisa read each letter as he finished it, crying and laughing at the same time. You're not allowed to make me cry and then leave me, she said. I'm not leaving you by choice. Tom said, I would stay forever if I could. On Tom's last day, he was lucid and peaceful. He had been in and out of consciousness for a week, but he woke up that morning and seemed more like himself than he had in months. Good morning. Beautiful, he said when Lisa woke up beside him. Good morning, she said, surprised to see him so alert. I think today is the day, Tom said simply. Lisa had been preparing for this moment, but she still felt like she couldn't breathe. Are you scared? No, Tom said. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I got to love you, and I'm grateful that you love me back. I'm grateful for every moment we had together. They spent the day talking, holding hands, and watching the light change outside their window. Tom told Lisa stories from his childhood, and she shared memories from their time together. They laughed about their disastrous first attempt at cooking together, and they cried about all the things they would never get to do. I need you to promise me something, Tom said as the sun was setting. Anything. Promise me you'll keep living. Promise me you'll keep your heart open to love. Promise me you won't let my death make you afraid of life. I promise, Lisa said, though she couldn't imagine how she would keep that promise. Tom died peacefully that evening, holding Lisa's hand. His last words were, thank you for teaching me that love isn't about time. It's about depth. In the months that followed, Lisa grieved deeply. She was angry at Tom for lying to her, angry at the universe for taking him away, and angry at herself for falling in love with someone she knew she would lose. But she was also grateful for the love they had shared, even if it was brief. She kept Tom's letters and read them when she missed him most. She traveled to some of the places on their list that they never got to visit together. She learned to dance, just as they had planned, and she thought of him every time she heard their favorite song. Years later, Lisa would tell people that Tom had taught her the most important lesson of her life, that love is not measured by its duration, but by its intensity. She never married, but she dated again, and she allowed herself to love and be loved. She understood now that even the shortest loves can change us in ways that last forever. She kept one of Tom's letters on her nightstand, the one where he wrote, I can't stop loving you, even as I'm dying. That love will outlive this failing body. Don't see my death as a betrayal. See it as proof that some connections are so powerful they transcend everything, even time. Lisa learned to see their love not as a tragedy, but as a miracle. In a world where people often live entire lifetimes without experiencing true love, she had been given the gift of loving and being loved completely, even if it was only for a short time. And in quiet moments, when she missed Tom most, she would whisper to the universe, Human, what have you done? You made me fall in love with someone I had to lose. But you also showed me that love like this is worth any amount of pain. She understood now that Tom's question had been answered, yes. She couldn't stop loving him, and she never would.